This is the Liberty Blue Rangers Podcast. With Andrew Chelney and Nick Zararis.
That was spectacular work. That was
sir.
Look at that opening. Courtesy of Nick Zararis, our fantastic visual guy who, I mean, he's doing so many incredible things behind the scenes here. But Rangers fans, welcome to the best Rangers podcast in town. I am Andrew Chelney alongside Nick Zararis, and we are Liberty Blue. We scream about the New York Rangers so that you can save your voice. That's how deeply we care about you. We appreciate that you've come along with us and joined us for the ride. This is episode 19. We are live on Twitch. We'll put the full video up on our YouTube, Liberty Blue Podcast, and the audio version will be up on Apple Music and Spotify, wherever else you get your podcast as well. Search Liberty Blue on your favorite podcast platform, and it should be there. At Liberty Blue Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Give the show also, very important, that shiny and illustrious 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It means the world to us. It helps the show more than you think it does. I am at Chelney Andrew, Chelney Andrew, and that is Nick Zararis, Nick Zararis. These are our personal Twitter handles to follow as well. Nick, we watched 3 Rangers games this week, and all I have to say is, oh boy.
Okay, so let's start with the not so bad. Underlyingly, they're not playing horrendously, which is weird considering they basically only have 2 lines who are generating offense right now. We talked about before the season, objectively, abstractly, that if the 4th line with Reeves, Carpenter, Blais, whoever, is just a net zero, like nothing happens when they're on the ice, we'll take that. And up until the game against Columbus, they had that. They're still, for the year, close to 50% in most of the key metrics. That's fine. The 3rd line, we thought was going to be a little bit better than this, but Hedl injury we'll talk about a little bit more. That's going to be basically a 2nd, 4th line now with the personnel they have. That's going to be an issue, but the scores are misleading. We talked about this last week when we were talking about the game against the Jets, where 4-1 sounds pretty ugly. I mean, you think about losing 5-1 to Columbus and then losing in overtime to San Jose. Those games, play-wise, I didn't think the Rangers played particularly bad other than Halak yesterday. Halak was pretty awful, but other than that, the team in front of him, I mean, they had a reasonable chance to win. They were getting chances. Maybe, you need those chances to go in, but they didn't play horrendously. And this is what you talked about last week in the last segment of the show was this is the best hockey league in the world. There are no easy games. There are no gimmies. If you think you can just show up and beat a team, you're going to lose. And that's what happened against San Jose. On no planet should San Jose be playing the Rangers to basically a push, which is what that game was when you look at the underlying numbers. But they expected to win that game, and they kept waiting for something to happen, and suddenly they were in overtime, and they ended up with an L they probably shouldn't have. Sunday, their backup goalie laid an egg. I mean, that it happens. It happens. It's hockey.
I also saw people on Twitter as well last night after watching Columbus scored a couple of really easy goals. Oh, well, Georgiev would have had those. No, he wouldn't have. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves here. Every time, maybe he would have had a couple of those gimmies that should never have went in. But every time, at least from my point of view, whenever Georgiev was in net for the Rangers, every single shot that came his way, I was worried that it was going to be in the back of the net. So at least like with Halak, yeah, I mean, he didn't have a great performance in his second game, but in the first game, I think it was against Winnipeg, like he played very well. It's not I still have more confidence in Jaro Halak than I do with Georgiev, but we talked about it last week. There are no easy games in the NHL, and it's a lot easier to lose in February when you have a lot of the wins stockpiled from October. And when you are a good team, you stockpile wins as early as you can so that later on in the season, you can do injury management and you can sit guys out and you can do all these things so that everybody is fresh come playoff time. The Rangers failed twice this week.
Yeah.
and they almost failed against Anaheim too. They dominated the whole period until they didn't. And it should never have been 6-4. That game was a lot closer than it should have been. The Rangers dominated for long stretches of that game until Anaheim decided, oh yeah, we're a hockey team too. And then they figured out, hey, let's play some hockey and we're gonna get back into win and we're gonna score and we're gonna do back and forth. The Rangers should never have allowed the Ducks to score 4 goals. Rangers legend Frank Petrano scored a goal for them as well. And then you get to San Jose and they just decided not to play. Like, I don't know what happened to them in that third period. They just thought that, oh, Panarin's gonna just waltz in and score a goal and then that'll be game and who cares, whatever. They got dumpstered in that third period and they deserved to get dumpstered because they looked like they didn't want to be there in that third period. And then against Columbus as well, they played the whole game as if they're just playing beer league. I don't understand what was going on in that Columbus game where they had stretches of applied pressure and all these things, but they only mustered a goal barely on a 5-on-3. That's it against a Columbus team that gave up, I think, at least 3 goals every game before that. That's all you could do. They looked like they didn't want to be there, and that's a joke.
So let's start one last thing on the big picture, and then we'll start going game by game. I mentioned it before, and I wrote it down. So, I mean, 11th in chances, 3rd in chances against, 17th in goals for, 26th in goals against. That tells you the goaltending hasn't been that great so far. Expected goals, 9th, 11th in expected goals against, 9th in high danger, 21st in high danger against. And then these are the 2 key ones for the Rangers. Everybody who remembers how the team played last year, 20th in shooting, 28th in save percentage at 5-on-5. Those will get better. That's how you know. That's why I'm not particularly worried about the Rangers, at least yet, is those will get better. Igor hasn't been outstanding aside from, I'd say his start wasn't awful, but he's got to be a little bit better. He hasn't been as good as he was last year. I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to do that, but 85% of that, he hasn't done that yet. The shooting, that'll get better with time. They haven't been a great 5-on-5 team in a while, but the fact that they're generating offense at 5-on-5 is translating to the underlying numbers. It'll come. I'm still not worried yet. There's unless you get one more injury, then you actually have to start getting worried because they're out of bodies at that point. They literally do not have anybody else to play. I mean, we're going to be talking about next week, this next game tomorrow against Colorado, where you're going to have VZ drawing back in and you're going to have to call somebody up to be the 13th forward because they do not have anyone else.
Although that should maybe be Gustav Rydal. He looked pretty okay in preseason. He looked like somebody who could jump up and just play minutes for this team. So, and Hedl is a center and so is Rydal. So I think he'll be called up at some point, either tomorrow morning or what have you. I think he's gonna. I mean, I would hope, because I don't really know who else you'd call up in that situation. But yeah, I mean, it's not panic time just yet. Yeah. Obviously, we're 6 games into the season, but like we talked about, it's a lot easier to stomach a bad loss in December or February or whatever when you win games that you're supposed to win. If you win against the Sharks, if you win against the Blue Jackets, games that you are the easy favorite in, and you show up and you just take care of business, then it's a lot easier to come, April 2nd against whoever, sit out everybody on the team and take a loss because it doesn't matter, because you've already secured your spot. You want people to get healthy. You want people to just get a little bit more time, and then off you go for the playoffs. When you lose these games, it's a lot harder to do that because you have to put in that much more intensity and you have more pressure on you come later in the season when, if we just won that one game in October, we didn't have to do this, but we have to do it now because we lost against the Sharks and we lost against the Blue Jackets. Points are points no matter when during the season you get them, and the more you stockpile them early on, the easier life becomes later, and the Rangers so far have not been doing that.
So math-wise, you generally need about 98 standings points in the East to make the playoffs. That's what I think the last team in last year was, like 96, 97, somewhere in there. You start worrying about the math a little bit later on, but like Andrew just said, you're missing gimmies here. To go to OT against San Jose, that was such a frustrating third period where you're getting forechecked into oblivion by a San Jose team that was the worst defensive team in the league going into that game. I know we talked about it on last week's show that the Sharks, through the 4 games I think they played to that point, had conceded the most scoring chances against in the entire league. And then in this game, and we're going to talk about that game a little bit more specifically, to only generate 28 scoring chances and only like 5 or 6 good ones. When I'm keeping a log of just how many quality scoring chances, like when I'm doing actual masquerading as a sports journalist and writing down notes of the game as I'm watching the game, and just keeping track of, if you're only generating like 4, chance at player X this time from this spot, that's not good. San Jose has no defenseman. Erik Karlsson, I will say, Erik Karlsson did play well on Thursday. He played pretty well against the Devils on Saturday, but that's one defenseman. One guy should not be flummoxing an entire team.
These are games that the Rangers have to win. Because the good teams beat the bad teams. If a team cannot reach 50 wins in a season unless you beat everybody that comes your way. You can't just beat good teams because you play bad teams. And if you beat good teams and you lose against bad teams, guess what? You're a middling team. So you have to win as many games as possible, especially these ones that should give you the most amount of points. Because if tomorrow, right, against the Avalanche, I mean, hockey is weird. So I guess the Rangers could just walk in and score 8 goals and win the game. But it would be wild if they lost at home to San Jose, lost at home to Columbus, and then Colorado comes to town, the Stanley Cup champions, and the Rangers just suddenly be like, "Oh yeah, we're the Rangers here, and we're going to score 8 goals against Francouz or Georgiev," which is possible because those goalies aren't very good. But the Avs are such a dominant team that they could mask a lot of those goalie issues that they have, and that won't get any better until they maybe acquire a different goalie. But for the Rangers, you need to win these teams. You need to win these games. You can't just come in, beat Colorado, and say, "Oh, we're a playoff team because we beat Colorado." No, well, you're not going to get in. You have to get points in other ways as well. The points are the same no matter which team you play, whether it be Colorado, San Jose, Chicago, or whoever. 2 points is 2 points, and if you're not getting them against bad teams, it's going to be that much harder to get them against good teams.
All right, so let's go into the first game, the one from last Monday against Anaheim. I pulled up this is just the Rangers on offense. So these are I'm not worried as much about the value, the 3.2 on 46. It's more about just where the chances are coming from. That's typically what I look for on these heat maps, whatever website you prefer. This is from hockeyviz.com. Evolving Wild does a version of this. Money Puck does a version of this. Natural Stat Trick does a version of this. This is just the easiest one to translate visually, but you see the concentration of chances coming from that dangerous area. That's generally where you want to shoot from. Against the Ducks, the Rangers control play at 5-on-5. They needed to score on their power play to win that game, and Andrew had said it before. That game was a lot closer than it should have been. Anaheim is a poor defensive team. We talked about that on last Monday's show, that they had conceded 11 goals in 2 games, and the Rangers did hang a 6 spot on them. That is a good thing. The Yankees were kind enough to have this and Monday Night Football on the scoreboard during the 2.5-hour rain delay on Monday. So I was actually able to watch a decent chunk of this game. I felt like the Rangers did what they needed to do on Monday, and then we're like, okay, we can just do that again on Thursday. That's kind of how it feels like, at least from just looking out. Of course, that's a fan's perspective. You can probably get a little more nuanced, and when we talk about San Jose in a minute, I'm going to pull up from my notes here and reference something specifically, but they took care of business. That's the kind of consistency you need to find. It's not just enough to be a good team. You need to be good consistently.
The Rangers scored 6 against Anaheim, and again, we're not in the locker room, and obviously it's easier to say this as people that aren't on the team than people that are on the team or people that are close to the locker room. But it kind of just felt like from an outsider's perspective that, we scored 6 goals. against
We're
the
good.
bad. We're good. We're fine. We're fine. We can score 6 against Anaheim. We could do it against San Jose. They're also bad defensively. We could do the same exact thing. Have just walk in, score whatever we want, and the game is ours. Well, clearly that didn't work out, did it? Like that's the kind of mentality that losing organizations have. And again, that's probably not the mentality that they had, but that's how they played alike. And that's what matters here. That's the nuance here that I want to point out here, that they might not have thought that way when they got into MSG and when they suited up and started playing the game. They might not have thought this would have been a gimme game, but that's how they played. Like the game was going to come to them. They were just going to score at will, and that's the end of the game. They're going to get 2 points, and we're gonna go home happy campers. But they didn't play like they were hungry to win a hockey game. And San Jose and also Columbus, as we'll get to later, felt that, and they pretty much went up to score. And it was like, you're not going to win a whole lot of hockey games having that kind of mentality.
Yeah, the San Jose game is a little bit different because San Jose really did a good job against the Rangers. The Rangers really didn't get anything going. I mean, 34 scoring chances, a handful of good ones, and the good ones they had, they missed the net for the most part. This is not a particularly juicy shot map. The Rangers aren't in good areas here. A lot of chances from poor areas. I mean, you look at where the Panarin and the Hedl goals are; those aren't really good scoring chances at 5-on-5. You wouldn't anticipate shots from that angle going in. The one that sticks out is the Trouba post. I mean, a team with a little bit better luck, that's a goal. You win this game in regulation, and you laugh about San Jose almost beat us. Haha, David Quinn's a bad coach. But you didn't get the bounce. That's what happens sometimes. And we talked about this coming into the season. You can't get lucky all the time. Last year's Rangers team got a crazy shooting bender. They got a god-playing goalie, and that worked. It's very hard to repeat that formula. The shooting percentage gods will not always smile upon you. Now, the Rangers are not going to finish 21st in shooting percentage. They have too many guys who are too good of shooters. Zibanejad in particular. Kreider has been really cold shooting-wise to start the year. He won't be a 50-goal guy, but Kreider should hit 30 with relative ease just because of the volume of chances he's getting. But San Jose kind of stuck it to the Rangers. They grinded that game out. In that third period, whenever the Rangers would have a gather behind their own net, there was a San Jose forechecker in there speeding up the process of trying to break out. There was nowhere in particular to go once the Rangers broke out. It was a real slog, especially in that third period, like you mentioned, for them to get anything going. And this is in a tie game where, they need to score.
It's interesting to me, the dynamics of the locker room, because Gerard Gallant, after the San Jose game, was obviously very angry about how the Rangers played, especially in that third period against San Jose, where they got nothing going. San Jose pretty much skated circles around the team, and ultimately the San Jose Sharks went on overtime. Gerard Gallant was very vocal about how trash they played and how this essentially won't happen again. And then they hosted Columbus 2 days later and played just as bad, but for the whole game. That is interesting to me. What happened in the locker room from Thursday post game to Sunday? What happened in between those two games that Gerard Gallant was visibly he was vocal, he was upset, he was like, this can't happen again, like all these things. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna do whatever it takes. And then they get to Sunday, and then they play exactly the same way. That is, I don't know if that's worrying, or I don't know if I want to get there yet. But it is still something to keep in mind, because you would think that with a head coach that is that irate about how his team played in front of him, that they would at least get off to a better start against Columbus, or just not play the way they did the whole 60 minutes against that team. But they did. And just it's something to keep in the back of your mind, and just watch how that team plays as the season goes along after a bad loss. So far, I'm not. It's not very confidence inducing. Of course, we're still 6 games in. Whatever, it's still October, but it's just something to keep in the back of your mind as we watch this season.
So I want to amend something you said. This is not like a conscious effort amongst the guys in the locker room to be like, "Do you guys want to fuck around today and see if we can still win?"
Sure,
This
of
is
course,
a subconscious
of
thing.
course.
This is not an actively deciding. All right, let's put 80% effort into that. This is a subconscious decision. People are nuanced and layered, and I always try and be specific about when we talk about things like that, because playing armchair psychologist is difficult. There's a reason they don't let people do this about politicians anymore. You can't know what's going on in another person's head, and even if they tell you what's going on in their head, they might not be telling the truth. It might be something subconscious. There's layers to all of this. People are complicated. When you have 18 people and a goalie, you're adding more factors to the complicated nature of this. There's a lot of moving parts in a hockey team, and just wanted to put that out there just to be sure we're covering our bases here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same way. It's the same way. Like whenever we say, "Oh, player X is bad," it's
Yes.
not. It's not like we're talking about them as a person. And I make sure I say this frequently whenever we talk about somebody specifically as well, right? Like we don't like the way Lieber High plays the game of hockey. We don't think he's a very good hockey player. But we're not talking about him as a person. This is not meant as a personal attack to the guy. I got nothing wrong. I got nothing bad to say about him in particular as a human being. Just the way he plays the game of hockey, not going to do something at the NHL level. It's the same thing here. It's like I would imagine that the the Rangers aren't sitting around, playing ping pong before the game or whatever, and saying, you know what, we'll just give 60% of effort today. We're going to beat these guys easy. I'm sure that's not conversations that were had in the locker room beforehand, but once they got onto the ice, that's how they played. So it's an important distinction to be made, but it's just one thing to keep in mind as we move along here is they played that way in the third period and also overtime against San Jose. The coach wasn't happy. Changes were supposedly made, and then they came onto the ice on Sunday and played the exact same way. And that's just one thing to keep in mind.
So the next one, we've got the shot map from Columbus. And the thing that everybody's going to talk about from the game against Columbus, they only scored one. Columbus blocked a lot of shots, man. And the Rangers didn't really know what to do because Columbus, especially when the Rangers were chasing in that third period and they were trying to make up the deficit, Columbus was clogging the shooting lanes, was clogging the passing lanes, and the Rangers just couldn't get a forecheck go. They weren't sustaining a cycle. They were settling to just fire the puck into someone's shin pads, and it's going the other way. We talk about this all the time with the defensemen, especially Trouba, of knowing when it's time to shoot and when it's not time to shoot. And this was the first game so far this year, I would say. The Rangers, they were not able to play the style of hockey they like to play. It carried over. They got a lot of shots. They generated a lot at 5-on-5. 37 shots is a reasonable amount of scoring chances, but nothing particularly dangerous. You're looking at the heat map here on the screen. I mean, everybody kind of has the picture of Miller making that break. Part of me wishes Key would have held that puck half a second longer to see if the goalie would have bit, and he probably would have had a tap in if the goalie moved. Trocheck missing from close, Fox missing close, but you don't see Kreider close to the net there. You don't see Zibanejad close to the net there. You don't see Panarin close to the net there. And again, it's one game. It's October. This is Columbus we're talking about. I'm not particularly worried long scale, but you get into bad habits. You start worrying about things. And look, this is a tough week coming off of that. They only played 3 games in 6 days. You have Colorado tomorrow. You have to go to the Islanders, who don't look good, but the Islanders will be up for that game because the Islanders, even when they were bad before Barry Trotz got there, they always got up to play the Rangers, no matter how bad they were under Jack Capuano. The Islanders always got up to play the Rangers. That will not be easy. And then you have to go to Dallas, who looks pretty good so far, and you have to go to Arizona. So you're going to be on the road the entire weekend, and then you don't come back till the middle of next week. So this is a good barometer, a good litmus test. And they're shorthanded. We all know they're shorthanded. They're not going to have Hedl for at least a week. That really sucks because he's been one of their best forwards so far this year. So they're going to have to figure out how to get something out of that third line.
That game against Columbus was the first game of this season, and they had a handful of these last season as well, of please shoot the puck. Just once. Just please shoot the puck. They couldn't
get anywhere. They really couldn't get where they couldn't get where they needed to shoot.
They had so many I'm gonna pass. I'm going to pass, and then we're going to pass again, and we're going to pass again, we're going to pass again, and then the puck's out of the zone. Oh, maybe should have shot that puck. They had so many plays where it was like we're gonna cross ice pass, we're gonna cross seam pass once, but then we're gonna go back, or we're gonna go to the point, we're gonna pass again, we're gonna pass again, and then eventually once that shot finally comes, it either misses the net by 8 feet or the puck is intercepted and it just goes out of the zone. Like that was, I understand the thought process of we're gonna pass up a good shot for a great shot, but there was a few opportunities for the Rangers to just take a shot, and instead they tried to do the pretty play of we're just going to keep passing until someone has a tap in for a sure goal, as opposed to, hey, there's a lot of space here. There's a large crowd in front of the net. There's a lot of commotion going around. Let me just throw it on the net and see what happens. There was not a whole lot of that, and I understand a lot of the shots were blocked, and Columbus did a good job of clogging the lane. But ultimately, if you keep passing the puck, you're never going to score a goal. You have to throw it on net at some point, and the Rangers missed, I thought, at least 3 or 4 quality chances to just put the puck on net, and instead of that, they just kept passing it. And eventually, none of the pucks went in.
That's also a byproduct of Columbus blocking shots really well, is forcing a hesitation of should I shoot this, should I shoot this, and panicking and saying, okay, if I pass it, I don't have to worry about shooting it. So that goes to show you the effect that effectively blocking shots can have on a good team. Because let's be frank, Columbus, I think their over under for points was like 80. This is not a playoff team. They came to play. They took care of business. Their backup goalie was pretty good. The Rangers didn't get any good bounces. And when you don't get any good bounces and you're pressing, you're going to lose. It snowballed on them really quick, just like the Winnipeg game where that game was close going into the third period, and it snowballed on them because they were chasing, because they were pressing, because they were overpassing. All of those little things, they add up. Nothing happens for one reason. Everything, especially over the course of a game, you've got things that are happening right at this moment, the things that have happened 5 minutes before, and you have the things that have happened a whole period before. All of that stuff starts building up slowly, and it starts rolling downhill, and the effect of the game happens. That's why not all these stats are the same, because the situation, the context of the situation changes what each stat is worth. I mean, yeah, you can say a shot on goal is worth this much expected goals, but it's different if that's in a tie game, if you have a 1-goal lead, if you have a 2-goal lead. The Rangers were trying to score the 3-goal goal when they were down in that game, and I don't know if you know this, but there are no 3-goal goals. There's not a 3-pointer in the NHL. The Rangers overcomplicated it. Columbus did a good job, and it sucks. I mean, we're lamenting a little bit on losses in October here, but we're moving on. Talk about the week ahead. Colorado's a tall order, man. Even without Landeskog, that's a good hockey team.
Colorado only just, won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So
Ever heard of it?
Can't be. How hard could it possibly be to win a game against them? The thing about them is that their goaltending situation got from okay to pretty bad over the course of this offseason. Darcy Kemper was a pretty decent goalie for them, and now he's in Washington, and they're essentially rocking with 2 backup goalies this season, because Paolo Francouz was the backup goalie last season. Alex Georgiev was the backup goalie in New York last season. They are essentially just rocking a 2A and a 2B, which is a very unique situation for a Stanley Cup champion team to be in right now. Can Francouz or can Georgiev become a 1A or a 1B? I guess. I guess I could also go and buy a lottery ticket and win the lottery. Any of these things could happen, but will they? Probably not. Like Francouz and Georgiev have been struggling, and they haven't looked phenomenal to this point, I will say. So are they a beatable team? Yeah, if you can get the shots up. For Colorado, they are such a great team in all other aspects of the game that finding ways to get pucks on the net, that's going to be the hardest part for the Rangers. If they can get Colorado to take some dumb penalties and punish them that way, that might be the best way for them to attack the Colorado Avalanche, because at 5-on-5, Rangers have been playing a lot better at 5-on-5 than they did last season. That is for sure, at least through 6 games. But for the Avs, I mean, they are still as dominant as ever, at least, forward-wise and defense-wise. they're going to have to get Colorado to take a couple of dumb penalties, I think, for them to maybe skate away with a win here. I think it's going to be a close game. Shesterkin, I would imagine, is going to play tomorrow. And
Oh, that
for
reminds me of something we can talk about real quick.
cool.
How do you feel about starting Halak on Sunday, knowing you have off on Monday? Because that feels weird to me. Like they were off
Yeah.
Saturday and Friday, and you know you have a back to back, so you're imagining Halak's going to get in either tomorrow or Wednesday. Any thoughts on that?
Well, the thing about that is Shesterkin definitely wouldn't have given up those 2 goals that
Yes.
just kind of leaked
Sunk the
through
game.
Halak. I don't know what those goals were. They were it's impossible to defend those 2 shots from going into the net because they should never at the NHL level be going into the net. And Jaro Halak knows that. He
said it himself.
his presser after the game was very like, essentially at that game was on him and he has to do better. Yeah, that's what his attitude was, and I commend that. That's the right attitude to have. Hopefully, it doesn't happen again because that's those 2 goals were real embarrassing. But I don't get that decision, especially when you have so many games here coming up. Shesterkin is not going to be able to play in all of them. I understand that the Sharks played, I guess, decently well on Thursday and they won the game, but you got Friday off, you got Saturday off. It's not like, I mean, the game
And they have today off.
The game against Columbus wasn't at noon. It wasn't at 1. It was at 5. I mean, I get that that's a weird time to play a hockey game, and especially goalies are very superstitious about that kind of thing. But you have 2.5 days off. And also they have today off. And also they're not traveling. They're still at home against Colorado. Yeah. I get it. We're maybe micromanaging this a little bit too much, but from a coach's decision, I kind of just don't get it unless Shesterkin was vocal about not playing in this game, or maybe he tweaked something. I mean, the Rangers didn't say anything about that. If that happened, or if Shesterkin, was said, "Hey, Halak, you take this game, I'll take Tuesday or whatever," which I don't foresee him doing because Shesterkin just loves playing at all times. But and I know the Rangers have to basically stop him from playing. But from a coaching's perspective, I think that's a weird decision. I'm sure Gallant has his reasons for him, and I would love to hear what they are. But I don't really get it. I'll be honest.
So I was reading something about this today. I forget who wrote it for the Daily Faceoff, but the logic is that Columbus had played on Saturday, and you're starting your backup goalie against a team on a back-to-back, that you should be able to take better advantage of that, and the workload probably won't be as more challenging. And I think it's a little bit of a galaxy brain thing where you're overthinking it. Like, you already have one of the best goalies in the league. Take this, give yourself the best possible chance to win, especially knowing you're going to have a back-to-back Tuesday and Wednesday against teams that are going to give you a hard time.
To add on to that as well, Shesterkin hasn't had the greatest of starts. He's looked okay, but he hasn't looked great. So
they got to get him in a rhythm.
Shouldn't you play him against a bad team so he can stop 39 or 40 or whatever? I'm just creating numbers out of my head, but shouldn't you have him play against these bad teams so that he can just show up, be Shesterkin, be the great goalie that he is, and then just have his confidence soar up, and now he's going to be more confident going into Colorado and all these things. Like, it's a snowball effect, especially with goalies early on in the season, where once they get into a rhythm, that's when you really start to see goalies shine at their brightest.
Yeah.
And with Columbus, they're a team that played, like you said, they played Saturday. The game against Sunday wasn't even a 24-hour waiting period. That's the time where you should play. You should play Shesterkin.
Yeah.
The Rangers didn't play on Saturday. They had the day off. Like, they didn't play a game. So Shesterkin should have played. Like, this is they're playing 5D chess when really everybody else is just like, we're
good goalie, go Burr.
We're playing, like, we're playing go fish over here. I don't know why. I don't know who you're playing 5D chess against, but there's no opponent. We're all playing go fish. What you doing? What you doing over there? I don't. We're out here like having a good time around the table, and you're like playing chess with nobody. So I don't know.
Okay. The weekend, they didn't play well in Dallas last year. That was like the one bad game Shesterkin had in the entire second half last year. He gave up like 6. And then Arizona Sunday, I know there's going to be a large contingent of Ranger fans down there who are specifically going for the weekend for that trip because it's kind of a life experience. But it's one of the games that Sam was telling us about that MSG is not going to be there in person. They're calling the game remotely. So anything else you want to get in here before we do 3 stars of the week and call it a day?
They better beat Phoenix. I mean, we're a ways away. Well, like they
They're
better
the
beat
Arizona
they better
Coyotes,
beat Arizona.
Andrew.
They
There we
better
go.
do it, because if they don't, then we might. There has to be like a red alert button that we press at some point in this podcast. And if they
Don't turn
lose,
me into a radio DJ. Don't make me hit the reggaeton horn.
if they lose against the Coyotes, we might have to start pressing the buttons, because that might be an unmitigated disaster. For the Stars, I mean, listen, Scott
That's a good
Wedgwood,
team.
friend of the program. I hope he gets the start against the Rangers. Like, that would be cool. From a selfish perspective, I hope the Rangers still win the game.
I think he got engaged over the weekend, actually.
He
I feel like
did.
I
He
saw,
did. He
yeah.
did. Yeah. Congrats to him. Hopefully, if I mean, this is like NHL 23, NHL 23, like news story. The Scott Wedgwood starts for the Stars, but the Rangers win 1-0. Like that. That would be a great. That'd be a great storyline for my needs, not for anybody else's, but selfishly for me, that'd be great. The Rangers have to start getting wins. Like, this is October. It's still early. There's still plenty of games left to be played. But the thing about this season is that it's 82 games, and that these games do not get easier. The more you start winning now, as we mentioned, the easier it becomes to play down the line when there's less on the line and there's more security amongst amongst your contingency. If you are securely in a playoff spot with 10 games left to play, Zibanejad, Kreider, Shesterkin, you take the game off, get a little bit of wind under you. Like, let's get ready for the playoffs, all these things. If you are battling with 4 or 5 games left to play because you lost against San Jose and you lost against Columbus, it's going to be a lot harder for you to do that. And it's not like load management per se, but it's just like, hey, if we're already secure, there's kind of not a whole lot of reason for everybody to play 25
Risk it.
minutes in
Yeah.
a game in April. It doesn't really mean anything. But these were 2 really good opportunities for the Rangers to stockpile some points, and they really went 0 for 2. They almost went 0 for 3 because
Yeah.
Anaheim made it a lot closer than they should have, and this has kind of been a rocky week for them. But we'll see how they bounce back, because Colorado obviously is not an easy team. So maybe they show up against the good teams. Who knows?
Okay, so 2 last things before we do our 3 stars of the week, which are very funny this week, I must say. We both did a very good job on our 3 stars of the week. So, number 1, losing to Columbus just sucks because they're also in your division. I don't imagine the Rangers are going to be in a race with the Blue Jackets to get into the playoffs, but God forbid that becomes an issue down the line. That would be very embarrassing. And then number 2, we got to get something out of this third line. I mean, God bless him. I understand why Barclay Goodrow is here, but he's the 3C with Vitaly Kravtsov and Jimmy Vesey. That's kind of a mash unit of a third line. It's not very inspiring. It kind of sucks that we're not going to get to see Kravtsov actually get the play off of anybody who can kind of complement his game from a skill perspective. He's very dependent on having the puck on his stick to be able to make plays, and that's going to be challenging when he's on a line with 2 guys who aren't very good at playing the puck. Vesey's been pretty good defensively so far, but nothing in terms of chance creation. And Goodrow, he's here to kill penalties, to wear an A on his sweater, to block shots. He's not much of a finisher. I know there were a lot of people banging the desk last year. He set a career high in goals. Well, yeah, he'd never played in the top 6 or with a guy of Artemi Panarin's skill set before. I could get 6 goals in the NHL on a line with Artemi Panarin. Standing in front of the net, They would hit me by accident, okay? Let's get a grip here. Let's know how to use statistics within a reasonable context.
We also speaking of Kravtsov, got a DM from Postum Notes earlier today, and he asked the question. I want your response first. He asked the question of how worried are we that Kravtsov needing to tread water on a defense-heavy third line is going to cost him. He doesn't have Phil to cook with because he's been diagnosed with a concussion. He's going to miss a probable concussion. That's what I feel like the Brooks tweet kind of didn't specifically say, but kind of
They suspect.
read between the lines that it's probably a concussion. So he's going to miss at least the next 4 games. So he says that he doesn't have Phil to cook with, and the way VZ and Goodrow help the team are not the way he does. I can see a world where him not fitting in on that line costs him in the eyes of the coaches. Do you agree with that?
Yes, but they also don't have a choice at the moment until they call up another forward at the very least. I imagine that's going to happen, but you're asking Gallant to pick between Rydall playing center and then Goodrow's going to play wing on the third line to take Kravtsov out. I mean, Gallant's been very weird with how he's chosen to deploy that extra forward group where like Dryden Hunt was here and now he's in the AHL.
Oh, we're gonna see Rangers legend Dryden Hunt tomorrow.
Yeah,
there you go. I forgot about that. That's right. Dryden Hunt now a part
the
of
Dryden Hunt and the Alexander Georgiev revenge game.
That's right. We're just gonna revenge game after. This is what 4 straight revenge games. This is a lot. It's a lot of storylines. This is but
no soap operas, just hockey.
That's right. Of course. But for the Rangers, like you said, I think I agree with you. The Rangers don't have a choice right now.
Yeah.
They have to keep playing Kravtsov.
And they need to get something out of him because even if they don't want him, they need him playing in the NHL so that they can sell him to someone. Well, because even if they don't like him, he's an expiring contract after this year. He only came back on a 1-year deal. So if they want to flip him, even if it's just for, a lottery ticket prospect, he needs to be playing. You can't sell a guy who's not playing.
It's difficult for everybody involved right now because the Rangers are stuck. They have to play him, as you mentioned. They have to put him on the ice to show other teams what he can do. For Kravtsov, he's been dumpstered in terms of who he's playing with over the course of the first 6 games, because in the first game he got injured and now he just got back to the lineup and his center's out. So he's having a really difficult go of playing time / who he's playing with. And I feel like that context is going to get lost because it's Kravtsov amongst a certain subsection of the Rangers community of
we don't gotta give them oxygen. We don't gotta give them oxygen.
I mean, I feel like it might get lost in terms of the media shuffle as well, because you have to understand.
You just reminded me of something I want to talk about.
You have to understand that Vitaly Kravtsov, he hasn't really shown much so far in these 2 games that he's played. Okay, well, in the first game he got dumpstered by Victor Hedman early on. He missed some time.
That was like 3 minutes into the game too.
And then 2 minutes in, I think it was like really early into the Columbus game.
90 seconds into the game.
Hedl got an errand elbow to the head. I mean, I want to make this like this was not a dirty hit at all.
It looked like an accident.
It was
a total accident.
Yeah, it did not look like it was meant to hit anything. It wasn't meant. It didn't look like it was nefarious in any way, shape, or form. It was an unfortunate hit that just got worse. Just by accident. I don't think it was anything. I don't think there's anything to read into about that hit. It was just a collision that went wrong. But for Kravtsov, he just got back. He has to get back into the rhythm of playing after not being able to get into the rhythm game 1. And now his only line mate that could do anything offensively isn't there. All right, go right ahead. And now you score 10 goals in 2 games. Vitaly Kravtsov, go right ahead.
Okay, so the point you reminded me of Thursday night during the game, the Rangers did the thank you for your service, David Quinn. We really appreciate what you did here. And I saw multiple people who cover the team tweet, the crowd booed David Quinn. I don't think he deserved it. You're telling me these are the same people who are supposed to be objectively covering the team? You don't understand why the fans are upset that the team is acknowledging a former coach? They fired him. It's not like he got a better job and chose to leave. It's not like he said, oh, this is once in a lifetime. I got to go coach the San Jose Sharks after sitting out for a year.
Yeah.
No, you told him he's bad. He's done. Why are you acknowledging him? The fans have a right to be mad. He was here for 3 years. The team was very uninspired and very blah. The highlight of his tenure was losing in 3 games in the bubble as a 7th place team in the Metropolitan Division. Thanks, David, I guess. Thanks for that.
The argument from David Quinn supporters is that the Rangers were supposed to be bad throughout those years. The thing about how a team plays in the midst of a rebuild, because when a coach accepts that responsibility is like, okay, you're coming in as a head coach and the team that you are about to coach,
It's bad.
is going to be bad. The problem with that is that the Rangers had so much drama behind the scenes. It seemed like every day they had something going on. The Rangers like had a circus in the locker room for a lot of the time period. They played atrocious hockey, despite the roster was bad, but it was never as bad as they played on the ice
Yes.
during his tenure. They played abysmally. They couldn't stop anything. They couldn't score anything either. It was a mess from start to finish, and now you get a video tribute because of that. Like, there's a difference
It's so
between
fake. That's the
there's
thing
yeah,
too.
of course. I mean,
It's
they
so
do it.
fake.
They do it to do it. I understand that, and he was a former head coach of the New York Rangers, so that they have to make a video about him. But there's there's one way of rebuilding where you play at least like not as bad because of who you have out there, and then there's the other side of it where you have like not the worst lineup in the NHL, not a great lineup either during the rebuild, but not the worst lineup in the NHL, and you play like you're the worst team in the NHL. And that's really what the Rangers look like throughout his tenure. So yeah, I mean, this was his Super Bowl. David Quinn won his Super Bowl in October, getting his first win as a Sharks head coach against a team that he used to coach, and they won in overtime. By the way, David Quinn, it was like mentioned very frequently that he essentially got the job because he went to college with a GM. So like,
Yeah.
I, I don't know. What are we doing here? Maybe hire a coach that like is good at coaching as opposed to somebody that went to your school. But I'm
Yeah, he
not a
played college
GM.
hockey with Mike Greer.
Yeah, I'm not a GM. What do I know?
The last thing on this before we do 3 stars. This would be like the social equivalent of like posting for your ex-girlfriend's birthday and telling them happy birthday on your Instagram, even though you're not dating them anymore, just for the appearance of saying, I was so nice to this person so many years ago. Like, come on, man. Just
Yeah,
there's a reason they did a still picture with a thank you as opposed to like, a 15, 30-second video, but just being fugazi for what stupid. Like you said,
yeah.
appearances. He was a coach of the New York Rangers. Woo! He didn't do anything with it. But, all
No.
right. Speaking of David Quinn, it is time for 3 stars of the week. And Andrew and I both have David Quinn in our 3 stars of the week. I also have Henrik Lundqvist's suit from Sunday night.
You look great.
I keep forgetting Henrik is on the pregame and the intermission because I put the Rangers on my desktop. I went to the bathroom. I came back up. It was on commercial. I was looking at football, and then I turned over. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Hank's on TV now." And I don't know if I'll ever get used to that, as opposed to just like him being on the team.
Yeah.
And then I have Ranger fans for sitting through a game at 5:00 on a Sunday. That's who Margot Robbie here is representing, is the Ranger fans who watch that instead of watching football.
I don't think the fans on Sunday had a smile on their face though.
No, but at the very least, they could have been watching football instead of that drag against Columbus. Like, if you're going to play a game at 5:00 on an NFL Sunday when the Jets and Giants are both playing, well, the Jets were playing at 4. They did end up winning, but football's on, people. You got to give us a reason to watch. Only sickos like Andrew and I are choosing to watch a regular season game against Columbus in October over football. There are not normal people choosing to do that.
No. It's interesting too because as it's well documented on my Twitter, my overall lifetime record when I'm at MSG is 28-2 all time when the Rangers are playing. I almost got a ticket to Thursday's game. I didn't end up going, and I almost got a ticket to Sunday, and I didn't end up going. So I mean, hey, if the Rangers want to win hockey games, just give me a ticket. I'll be there.
I'm not saying it's a causation thing, but you rarely see a Rangers L and Andrew in the same place. That's all I'm saying.
I was at the Rangers and Lightning game 2, I think it was. Yeah, it was game 2, and they won that game. So the Rangers are flawless. I was at Caps Rangers 2015 game 5 when Kreider tied it with like a minute to go, and then McDonough, if I remember correctly, scored that game-winning goal, and the Rangers were down 3-2 in that series, and then they won that game. They won that series in 7. I was at that game 5. I was at game 2. I mean, listen. If the Rangers want to go 82-0, my DMs are open. That's all I have to say. Like, come on, I'm not that difficult to reach out to. Just selfishly, hey, what about my needs here? Think about my needs. Think about my schedule. Just, come on. I could have been there, and the Rangers could have won both games, but Rangers didn't reach out, so they lost.
All right, Andrew, the floor is yours if this will load. There we go. You picked a very funny 3. You also featured David Quinn. Talk to me a little bit about your 3 stars of the week.
So David Quinn won the Super Bowl in October. He beat his former team, and he also said something about about a CVS or something about like not buying confidence pills in CVS. I don't know. It's a strange thing to say when you just won your first game as a head coach of a new hockey team. Strange. Frank Petrano, Rangers legend, scored against the Rangers in.
He paid for one of my beers.
I
bet $5. I paid $5. I bet $5. Frank Petrano anytime goal. That hit midway through the second period. I got a free beer at the Yankee game.
There you go. Yeah, Frank Petrano. Look at that. What a great guy he is. Former Rangers legend, paying for next beer. What else can you ask for? He scored that goal. The Rangers ended up winning that game, but we had a conversation about it last week that, hey, how many goals will Ryan Strome score or miss the net on? How many goals will Frank Petrano score? All these things, and Frank Petrano was the one that hit. And the third one was John Davidson, because he, again, revenge game for him. He left the Blue Jackets to come to New York only to get shown the door, and now he's back in Columbus, and the Blue Jackets absolutely destroyed the Rangers. So it's a great week to be somebody that is looking for revenge against the Rangers, because everybody pretty much got what they came for, except for Ryan Strome, who is still out there somewhere missing empty nets.
I am very curious to see how they play tomorrow. I'm very curious to see what they do against the Islanders. I, out of morbid curiosity, have been watching quite a bit of the Islanders, and they just don't know how to play offense. Like, the defense is still relatively fine, but in the offensive zone, there's just nothing going on. It's Matt Barzal waiting for somebody to do something around him, and then Brock Nelson passing to Anders Lee in front of the net and hoping Lee tips it in. And that's really all the Islanders have for offense right now. Their leading goal scorer before their last game against Florida was a defenseman to tell you how things are going on offense. So I'm very curious to see how that goes. That will just about do it for today's show. Make sure.
And also, Nick, remember, their biggest off-season signing was Nikita Soshnikov. So
can't forget that.
That's
Cannot
right.
Forget that. People do forget that.
You can't forget it. People do, but you shouldn't. It's important.
Not us, though. Andrew didn't.
No. Of course not. We would never. We would never. We're psychos on this show. We remember absolutely nothing, but we do remember that Nikita Soshnikov is an Islanders legend.
Okay. Make sure you are subscribed to the show wherever you choose to get your podcasts. We are available on all the major ones. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. You can leave reviews on Spotify now, which please leave a review there if you prefer Spotify. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the show's YouTube. Make sure you are liking the videos on YouTube. That helps other people find us.
Like, comment, subscribe, guys.
I'm not saying that, Andrew. Until I'm producing more than one YouTube video a week, I am not saying.
That's right. Well, you gotta do the thumbnail, right? You gotta do the like and subscribe and do whatever else YouTubers tell you to do, or you could just do what you want.
Make sure you are following the show's channels on social media, doing a little bit more on there. Drop the lineup thing, drop the making fun of us thing on Monday morning, which is pretty funny if you get a chance to check that out. It's Liberty Blue Pod on Instagram and Twitter. The show on Twitch is Liberty Blue Pod. On YouTube, it's Liberty Blue Podcast. That's Andrew Chelney. His Twitter is Chelney Andrew, CHELNEY. Mine is just Nick Zararis, Nick ZARARIS. We will see you guys next week. Hopefully the Rangers come back with at least 2 out of 4. 2 out of 4 would be the goal.
Well, fingers crossed. Listen. They didn't show up against San Jose. They didn't show up against Columbus. So for all we know, they could just show up to Colorado and dump an 8-piece on them. Who knows? The Rangers are a weird team so far.
Rangers 8, Colorado 3. You heard it here first. We'll see you guys next week.
Later.